Hello everyone, my name is Otavio Santana. I'm glad to be here. Today let's talk about cloud, the survival guide for the Java active in the cloud era. Right now we're going to cover why should I move to cloud and why should I keep it and how can I increase my interaction with cloud, especially the cloud native techniques and tools. A little bit about me. My name is Otavio Santana. Today I am distinguished engineer at Super Innovation. Besides that, I enjoy a lot open source. That's why I become Java champion, Oracle Ace, member of GCP as a chief member, Apache and Eclipse committer. I enjoy the Java world, so I'm also working several specifications, mainly in Jakarta EE microprofile right now. I'm a member of CNCF, Linux Foundation, and Finos. Besides that, when I do have free time, I enjoy to write books and articles, especially about cloud, Java, and architecture. But today is not about me, it's about how we can increase our experience in the cloud, right? Everything's around cloud. We enjoy cloud. Cloud is so lovely. Why not move to the cloud right now? Previously, we need to understand why we are doing that. If you take a look at the whole history, we could see that in 2001, we had the Agile Manifesto, where the main focus was to have a tight integration between developers or engineers and a user, where we know the right direction doing incremental delivery. After that, we could see in around 2010, so we don't have the exactly time in DevOps because we don't have DevOps manifesto, but what you know, it is after the Agile, where we put also the operation on that culture to have tight integration to deliver fast and fast and fast. Fast, of course, with quality. And then we finally understood as well that, okay, we need to think about security, not in the reactive way, but as prevention. And right now, we are able to put security in the process tests to avoid any kind of SQL injection, some data leak, or any kind of thing that might impact in security of our organization and our technology. For sure, we know the writer of cloud and what does cloud mean. Cloud computing is a model for enable ubiquitous, convenient on-demand network. Yes, and blah, 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 blah. It belongs to NIST, National Institute of Standard and Technology. But to me, cloud is basically somebody else's problem, where I delegate the issue to somebody else to solve to me. Probably you know that analogy between pizza and cloud, where we put cloud and pizza both as service. We started with on-premise, where we need to do everything by our hands, like make at home the pizza, and move through, go, dine out, and have everything fate for us, right? That is software as a service. On the someone else problem perspective, the idea is, okay, I want to do everything by my bare hands. I need to have knowledge, infrastructure, everything. But I has less time to focus on my business. And I want to increase the experience of my business. So I delegate the hardware to somebody else. I pay somebody else to handle the hardware to me. So it is infrastructure as a service. But sometimes it is not enough, right? I want to focus even more on my business perspective. So I delegate the hardware and the operation on that. In this case, I will use PaaS or platform as a service, where I just need to write a code. I don't need to do something else. For example, platform as Sage, Heroku, and so on. And the last step is I don't to handle anything. I just want to use it. So I delegated hardware plus the operation and finally the software knowledge to create the software. So the Gmail suite, the G suite, something like that. So I delegate everything to another companies to make my life easier in several perspectives. But it doesn't matter in each scale we are in abstraction. The whole point about cloud is what we want with that. So we want success. And to us, success is faster innovation without impacting the stability. Okay, that sounds impossible, but that's what we are looking for with cloud. At least that's what we're trying to achieve. Okay, that's why right now we have several options of cloud providers and service. We started with, yes, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And right now we have more flavors of service in the cloud. So you probably have heard about CaaS, that is containers as a service, where we provide containers. And also we have decision process as a service, database as a service, managed event streaming as a service, backend as a service, or serverless, and so on. The main point here is those are new service, and we try to put a category on that situation where CaaS it is between IaaS and PaaS. And these managed application service, such as database as a service and serverless, are a specialization of PaaS. Okay. But there is a huge discussion. It's not standard. And every time that we talk about cloud, we are living in the cloud trends moment where we had cloud, just cloud, was a buzzword around technology. Right now, it is not anymore. Then we moved to cloud ready, moved to cloud friend, to finally right now we are living in the cloud native era where everybody is talking about cloud native. But wait, what does cloud native means? Unfortunately, I have a bad news to you. That is, I have no idea what does that mean. And I'm gonna tell you what. I guess nobody knows. Because cloud native become a kind of Hakuna Matata where everybody has your perspective view about that definition. Okay, if you go to several articles, several discussion, probably this discussion, this article, this book has your own definition about cloud native. Each company probably has our own definition, and you might have your own definition about cloud native. Let's go on some samples here. For example, in a Pivotal website, cloud native is an approach to building and running applications that explode and take advantage of the cloud computing model. There is this amazing book here, our learning path architecting cloud native application. The main goal here is to focus more infrastructure, where cloud native is more about infrastructure than software development. There is this book here, Cloud Native Development Partner and Best Practice. It has a similar ideology around cloud native than the previous book. Indeed, they have a new word, DERS, that means in deployment, deploy, upgrade, replace, and scale. So it's more about infrastructure than software development. Then we have this book that put everything around software development in some level of cloud native. So today, cloud native is more than a tool set. It is a complete architecture and philosophical approach. So everything is around cloud native. In the past, we had waterfall. Right now, we are living in the agile methodology. In the next move to you is move to cloud native, where everything is around cloud. We also had We also have CNCF, that is an organization around cloud native by Linux Foundation. That is has your own definition as well. So cloud native technology empower organization to build, run, and scale application. It has several simple approaches, okay, container, service, mesh, microservice, but as you can see, it's abstract enough to fit everything because it's so abstract. And it looks like more a marketing and sales pitch than a technical perspective. But anyway, we saw several articles around, okay, if you create an application that is container based or it's ready to cloud and it was born in the cloud, okay, it's a cloud native application and be happy with that. The whole point here is today is to explain to you that right now we have 1,000 of definition of cloud native, and that is okay. That if you have no idea what does that mean, because right now the whole market has no idea either. Okay, so every article might have a different perspective of cloud native because it's a new trend where everybody is looking at. And yes, I have my own definition as well, based on the previous book that I read and article as well. So to me, cloud native is a set of good practice to optimize an application in the cloud through 3 steps: containers, orchestration, and finally automation. And yes, we talked about what we want to achieve with cloud, that is innovation without impact in a huge stability in the software development. And that is the expectation, right? So we want to be like Apollo, closer to the sun and the highest as possible. However, the reality is we become Icarus, where you fall as closer we go to the cloud. That's sad, but unfortunately that's true. And we have 1,000 challenges when we talk about software development plus cloud. Besides the political area discussions and something like that, we also have technical challenge to us. We have security, roots, upgrade database and language, backups, automation, such as CI, CD, as said before. As software developers, architecture, and senior engineer, we must know that everything is around trade-off, right? We need to handle with complexity, we handle with risk, we handle with cost, and also we need to handle with the knowledge management, where I need to know what everybody knows, and I need to move the right person to the right team, to the right knowledge. There is this amazing book that is Fundamental of Software Architecture. It's an engineering approach, and everything is about trade-off, okay? When I mention the SaaS, probably it might is more expensive. However, it has less risk. When you go to IaaS, it might be cheaper than a SaaS. However, I need to handle with more stuff. I need to handle with more details that I usually don't need to handle when I go as SaaS, okay? And yes, I talked why we are moving to the cloud, the history reason, the expectation, what we want to achieve, the challenge, and finally, let's talk about the survival guide. How can we handle with cloud, Java, and how we can move our application to the cloud? The survival guide today is a flight plan. Oh wait, what do you mean about flight plan? Because a flight plan is a plan to go to somewhere in the cloud, right? So it's a plan. So we need to define the routes, the schedule, the definition, the external points like weather, equipment, the crew, the internal details, and of course with security, with safety to keep our organization moving while everything is moving on. That's why we have ETOPS. And basically the idea and the analogy with the flight plan is exactly like that. I need to know where am I, how far I want to go. I need to check the internal conditions, the external condition, the budget, and more precisely, the safety. Remember, the point that we want to achieve as success is move faster if without impact our organization. And that's the question that we want to answer with the flight plan. Where are we? Where should we go next? How do we get there? Because in the flight plan, if it's too far, sometimes you're not able to go directly between São Paulo in Brazil to Japan. We need to have stops, for example. Because once it's too far, I need to create scales on that, stops. And that's the idea. I need to understand where am I and where I want to go. It is, if it is too far, maybe do scales and to understand everything around it. And every time when you talk about adoption framework in the cloud, we need to talk about the maturity models that we have so far, frameworks adoption that we have so far. Right now, I believe every cloud provider has your own definition or one information about the framework of cloud adoption to that cloud providers. Okay, and that is okay. In the software development, you probably know the Richard maturity model, where we simply call cloud REST, where we have application that want to go to the perfect state of art of REST application, where we start with none and go through hypermedia controls, the hate was. And that is exactly what we want to achieve with cloud. And the flight plan is basically that. It's a growing of cloud. For sure, it's not a good name. Yes, this might be impacting religion thing, but the idea is to start with none and then go to most optimized as possible. And let's move on to that flight plan idea. The first level, or none, we understood that there is no cloud adoption. We are not using cloud yet, but we'd like to use. The first point on that moment is to understand the methodology to move our application far as possible. So I'm level O, so we need to create an MVP or a POC, create a small application, prepare. If everything is okay, expand, optimize to finally self-sustain. Okay? So a POC, prepare to production, go to production, create more steps, optimize the step to using automation, and then finally self-sustain. Once we understood the methodology and want to move to the cloud, let's move to the initial step. We have a little bit of automation of observability or law or an existent cloud adoption. Also, I mentioned before, the idea is to handle risk and costs, and especially the complexity, because the complexity is the main key on that situation. Okay, we need to understand that as much risk I have, I need to think how to decrease that complexity, because the risk is on the part that I have no idea how to handle, or I understand that's hard to maintain or to keep moving. There is this amazing book, The Philosophy of Software Design, where the main focus is exactly to talk about the complexity. So take a look on that. And okay, we went to none. We understood the methodology. We moved to initial, where, okay, I need to understand and measure the risk and the complexity around cloud. And let's put some automation on our application. So let's move our application that I have to the cloud. And right now, let's put a little bit more of CI and CD practice to become natural in the cloud environments. It doesn't matter if it's cloud, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, or Oracle. And the first advice to you in the level 3 is make it more observable and modifiable. How? With infrastructure as a code. With infrastructure as a code, we have more transparency on what you're doing. It's more observable, more testable. It has more security. Unfortunately, it's a goodbye that, okay, it all works on my machine. You're not able to make this joke anymore because the whole infrastructure is the code. And if you want to do any kind of modification, I need to have my code that's totally observable and transparent to me. The next step of infrastructure as code is GitOps, where I have a merge of several amazing approaches. I have infrastructure as a code plus PRs and plus CI/CD, where I have Git as single source of truth, a Git as the single place to operate, and all changes are observable and verifiable in both areas, in the development side and operation side. Again, DevOps. And for example, right now I'm using the application with Java 11, and I want to move to the next LTS, that is Java 17. What can I do? I can create a PR with that modification in the infrastructure. If everything is okay, I will run the CI. If everything is okay, I merge this application to the cloud. Once everything is amazing, I'm in the merge, it's automatically deploy my application with the latest version in the Git. If something goes wrong and I only was able to check on production, that's sad, but sometimes happen, you are able to do a Git revert and then return to previous version of the code. Okay, so with GitOps, the integration between infrastructure as a code, PRs, and CI/CD, you make your code more observable, verifiable, and use Git as the single source of truth to both to developers and operations team. The last step, okay, I understood the none because I have the methodology. I moved to understand the complexity around clouds. I started to do automation in my application. I make it more observable and modifiable to finally go to optimization through hybrid cloud. And every time that I talk about cloud automation, there is several amazing tips. For example, there is this amazing book here, 19 things every cloud engineer should know, that has 97 things, 97 tips, and as highlight, I really recommend to you read once and twice those. Use managed service, please. Sometimes it's okay if you are using some PaaS products. If you don't have nobody in your team that knows that deeply, okay. Or maybe you don't have budget. So focus on development and use PaaS, for example. It is okay if you're not running Kubernetes. Okay, that's not an issue. Keep it simple, please. The source code, the management for soft delivery, and containers are magic. So those are just a highlight of this book. Please take it and read it. And the 12-factor application right now is so classic. I don't need to go deep on that, but if you never heard about it, please Google it to go deep on your application. Those books are classics, old but gold, especially to the Java developers. So the effective Java to optimize your code style and design code, where Joshua Block wrote several tips. And Joshua Block was one of the person who wrote the collection API. DDD, domain-driven design, to make your code closer to the business. Remember DevOps and Agile methodology. Clean Architecture and Clean Code by Robin Martin, the Uncle Bob. Please read carefully these books. Read once, read twice. It's okay to review the book once you read it. Especially to you have more information. And every time that I talk about cloud native, there is a link between microservice. Okay, should I move to microservice just because everybody else is doing? The answer to that is a no, right? You don't need to move to microservice only because everybody else is doing. Indeed, there is 3 amazing books where you should go and read, 2 by Sam Newman and 1 by Edson Yanaga. And those 3 books has 2 things in common. Those books are talking about microservice, and those books also has a warning. Those books also have a warning about, okay, not everything is around microservice. Sometimes it's okay to keep the monolith application. I put the highlight on Edson Yanaga book. And okay, just because Netflix and Amazon are using, it does not mean that you are Netflix and Amazon. Like your man probably said, you are not everybody. You are unique. Your company is unique, has minimum requirements. Please pay attention to that, okay? Especially because it matters to us. And remember the Cowell's law. If the organization, there's no structure, probably the software will follow these trends. To make our life easier and advice, we have this amazing book, The Best Practice in Software Architecture in the Cloud Era. It is in English and it is for free. Please take a look at this QR code, go deep on that, where we have several tips about cloud development. It is agnostic most of the time. However, there are several tips to the developers. So, okay, I want to know more about cloud. How can I use DevOps with DDD in a cloud? Integration with Kubernetes, those are agnostic. But there is also performance training, something like that. So if you want to take a look, want to learn more, take and read it. And yes, that is it. Again, hopefully you enjoy my application. Thank you, everybody. Again, please follow me on Twitter. My name is Otavio Santana. My Twitter is @Java. And if you have any question, please let me know. So send me an email, send me a Twitter, any kind of thing. Thank you. Bye-bye. And that is it. See you soon.